Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 10 articles in this episode for you. I think you'll enjoy this one. All the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. That we have is off of gatewaypundit.com. Buddy, I tell you what, I'm crazy about that fella. Lord have mercy. That guy has the awfulest job in the world. We got this one. It says Sean Spicer fires back after ABC reporter interrupts several times. It's not your press briefing. And there is video in this if you want to take a look at it. Sean Spicer put an impatient White House reporter in his place today as he continued to interrupt another reporter from the Associated Press. From ABC's John Carl, who shouted out a question while Sean Spicer was in the middle of answering another reporter's question. When Spicer asserted the role of Paul Manafort in the 2016 presidential campaign, Donald Trump was ultimately objected. Spicer shot back, "Hey, Jonathan, hold on. You can interrupting other people's questions. Hey, Jonathan, somebody's asking a question. It's not your press briefing. Question, please calm down." Criticized Sean Spicer for his harsh response to the reporter. However, he was just doing his job. The reporter was out of line. Press secretary, but as usual, attacks the wrong guy. Here's the video, courtesy of Fox News. See if we can get this to scroll a little bit. Working himself to death here trying to keep up with me today. It's the end of that one. We got one more though about Sean. It's off BizPack Review. Mr. gets her up here on the page. We'll read it to you. Here. It says, Spicer wallops New York Times offers writing services after reporters make up claim over Trump's tweets. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer fired back after two New York Times columnists accused him of being angry at President Donald Trump's Twitter habits. Maggie Haberman wrote, White House are concerned with the president's tweeting and the need to defend the tweets in the Times column. Within the White House, a number of Mr. Trump's advisors, including the press secretary Sean Spicer, who has himself repeated claims of British spying on Mr. Trump, have told allies that Mr. Trump's Twitter habits are making their jobs harder, said administration officials interviewed over the past week. Sean Spicer quickly called the claim fabricated in a tweet of his own. When you thought New York Times couldn't go lower, they make this up. Spicer was referring to Thrush's tweet containing the supposed false claim linked in the article. And Thrush says even Spicer has Trump's tweets. Thrush tweeted back that he requested comment from Spicer, but has not heard back from him. Sent an email to press secretary at 4:38 p.m. with precise content of paragraph pertaining to him. He never responded. I blame British intelligence, Thrush tweeted. Updated with Spicer's comments. It's just not true. I have not commented on tweets to anyone, including my wife, Spicer told Thrush in an email. During Monday's press briefing, Spicer told the Times that its headlines are bad and he wouldn't mind helping with them. At the New York Times disposal when it comes to writing headlines, he said. We could probably do a couple things on stories too if you're willing to go there. Oh, Lord. I'd love to interview him for just 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. It's an interview he'd finally enjoy. This one off BizPack Review says, dangling on the fence, White House fence jumper makes it easy. Hilariously nabs himself. He made it easy on Secret Service officers. He caught himself. Another White House fence jumper sought to grab his 15 minutes of glory Tuesday night in an attempt to make it to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Executive Mansion. even made it past the barrier surrounding the grounds. TMZ reported that this latest caper happened shortly before 11 p.m. at the fence line along 15th Street when the jumper became entangled in security features fixed to the top of the fence. Representative Jason Chavez, who has long been concerned about White House security, described what had happened a bit more graphically. He was up there dangling on the fence, and the Secret Service grabbed him, the Utah Republican told TMZ. Although all the particulars of this incident aren't in yet, Chavez told TMZ that he believes proper security protocol was followed. Shortly before the Tuesday night attempt, Chavez thwarted his concern, and he sent out a tweet. Secret Service must get its house in order, the Washington Post, and he there in that tweet. It says, but others thought the whole thing hilarious. Although the fence jumper wasn't identified by name, a few wondered who could it have been. A bunch of tweets here from folks. One of them says, Chris Christie should call before he drops by. This wouldn't have happened. The chuckling goes on, and some more tweets. Another one says, is this poor man's embarrassment what Chavez was referring to when he called this incident the worst one yet? Circumstances of Tuesday's jumper were, it really isn't a laughing matter. Earlier this month, an intruder made it past the fence and onto the grounds and wasn't apprehended until the resident's entrance while the president was inside. Here is off of the Gateway Pundit. And I'm waiting for the hamster to catch up. Here he goes. It says Secret Service removed alarm sensor from the fence. Intruder climbed over. Roamed around the White House grounds on minutes before being apprehended by the Secret Service, was able to breach the security so easily because the sensors along the fence had been reportedly removed. The agency had removed alarm sensors along one fence that the intruder scaled, according to two sources familiar with the details. The intruder is Jonathan Tran to jump over the three, including at least one between the Treasury Department and the east area of the White House complex shortly before midnight on March the 10th. Tran was able to scale that particular area of the fence without setting off alarms because they had been removed, leading to confusion among officers about and whether an intruder was inside the White House complex, the sources told the Examiner. Now removed the alarm sensors along an area of the fence line when the agency raised its height in response to previous fence jumping incidents as a way to make it harder to scale. The sources told the Examiner, ironically, the very effort to prevent fence jumping appears to have permitted a particular intrusion. Superiors in the uniformed division told Secret Service personnel to remove the sensors and place them together for use elsewhere. The agency needs to be overhauled. We former Secret Service agent who went into detail as to why the president isn't safe anymore. And if you want to read the rest of the report, there is a link here in the bottom of this that you can click on for the rest of the report by the Washington Examiner on that. When we have this off Conservative Tribune, Trump steals show during Comey testimony with one devastating tweet. Capitol Hill Monday for the House Intelligence Committee's testimony of FBI Director James Comey and National Security Agency Chief Mike Rogers regarding the investigation into alleged collusion between Russia and the 2016 campaign of President Donald Trump. According to the Washington Post, Comey stated that his agency had no information to support the allegations lodged by Trump against former President Barack Obama, that his administration had ordered surveillance on Trump Tower, but did confirm into alleged Russian interference had included some members of the Trump campaign. During the hearing was the question of who had leaked sensitive information from the investigation to the media, such as the name of former NSA Director Mike Flynn, and the fact that he was included in transcript of a phone call with the Russian ambassador, a topic honed in on by Republican South Carolina Representative Trey Gowdy. Comey specifically, if he could name who in the intelligence community would have access to that information and been able to share it with Obama, but Comey declined to provide specific names. Trying a different tack, Gowdy asked Comey, "Did you brief President Obama on any calls involving Michael Flynn?" Into either that particular case, that matter, or any conversations I had with the president, so I can't answer that, Comey replied, nor denying the premise of Gowdy's question. Must have been watching because he quickly responded, as only he has a tendency to do, by his official POTUS Twitter account, posting a clip of Comey's answer with FBI Director Comey refuses to deny he briefed President Obama on calls made by Michael Flynn to Russia. Replies questions from the other committee members were similarly vague, but Democrats and the media will be sure to focus on the confirmation that Trump's campaign had been under investigation. Through the denial of any ordered surveillance would seem not only Trump's allegation against Obama, but also months of reporting from a variety of mainstream media outlets that Trump had based on. Regardless of whether Trump was right or wrong in his assessment of Comey's response to Gowdy's question, the takeaway was that once again Trump had manipulated the media by exposing their narrative as false, talking points into the coverage. The next article I have for you is off of BizPac Review. It says, proof. Alarmed White House Intel chairman alerts public, "I just learned how intel on Trump team was collected." Appeared to be vindicated on Wednesday. Representative Devin Nunes said the president's personal communications might have been intercepted before he became president. Nunes, the House Intelligence Chairman, said at a press conference that he discovered the incidental collection while reviewing intelligence reports. "This is a normal incidental collection based on what I could collect," he said. "This appears to be all legally collected foreign intelligence under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act." He said he has alerted House Speaker Paul Ryan to the White House on Wednesday. "I'm actually alarmed by it," he said, into legal definitions, "but I clearly have concerns." He said he was unaware of whether or not the information was obtained at Trump Tower and could not confirm that the president's information was directly collected. Next article that I have, Sense Show with Dave Hodges, and it says FBI Director Comey's criminal affiliations with the Clintons explains lying to Congress. The noose around the neck of FBI James Comey career is tightening. Still the director of the FBI. The following contains a multitude of allegations against Comey, should be grounds for removal from the office, followed by criminal prosecution. Comey and the obstruction of justice. Last fall, Fox News further confirmed that a congressional source confirmed that the House Government Oversight Committee had received a heavily redacted FBI summary of Hillary Clinton's session last month with the FBI agents who interviewed her about the use of a private server for government business. What right does Comey have to thumb his nose at congressional inquiry by redacting evidence requested by Congress? Why would Comey do such a thing? It can be best summed up as birds of a feather flock together, or perhaps Ben Franklin put it more accurately when he said, "We'll hang together, or most assuredly we'll hang separately." On the surface, Comey's previous refusal to fully cooperate with Congress seems inexplicable at this point. Character and lack of integrity of James Comey. If the Clintons are Bonnie and Clyde, then Comey is John Dillinger. Comey's skeletons are getting exposed. How does a man with absolutely no law enforcement experience become head of the most modern crime-fighting organization in the United States? The simple answer is Comey is complicit in Hillary Clinton's aerial criminality. In the capacity of FBI director, Comey has turned this organization into Hillary Clinton's lapdog of personal protection and has helped her evade criminal prosecution. If Fox News is really after Clinton, that they would begin to impugn the integrity of James Comey. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why they have not. Because for months, since so much verifiable criminal evidence against Comey has surfaced, Fox News is continuing to ignore what is publicly available. James Comey is committing perjury before Congress when he claims that Trump has no proof of Obama's wiretapping against Trump. Comey knows that Trump is being accurate, and the evidence. This week, Judge Napolitano said, try this again. This week, Judge Napolitano has been removed from Fox News for repeating the president's allegation of wiretapping against Obama and his minions. There is no wiretapping took place. First, and as Steve Quayle just told me in soon-to-be-released interview, everyone is illegally wiretapped. Yes, since at least the days of George W. Bush, every American is wiretapped on every form of communication, and I don't care how you dress it up. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and the illegal evidence gathered is sometimes bootstrapped on violating the Fifth Amendment due process provisions of the Constitution. Therefore, just based on this fact alone, Napolitano and Trump are accurate in their allegations against Obama. In the following short video, I detailed how we know that President Trump is accurate in his wiretapping allegations. Here's a short interview I did with Paul Preston of Agenda 21 Radio about the long criminal association between the Clintons and Comey, which dates back to the 1990s. Please, not the background noise. You are listening to an interview between two experienced talk show hosts. If we had heard the background noises that externally imposed on this video, one or both of us would have stopped the interview and immediately called attention to it. In the same manner as my interview with Josh, noises are implanted after the interview took place. This adds legitimacy to what Paul Preston is saying. I want the public to know the long criminal history between the Clintons and Comey, because they would then understand why Comey is running from revealing the truth about alleged wiretapping of Trump and Obama. The following interview is to be taken very seriously by the people, background noise notwithstanding. If one wants to understand the dot-connecting criminal cabal that permeates our government, one has to realize that the deep state is alive and well in the FBI. And there's the video in this if you want to look at it. It says, the FBI, who else would it be, imposed background noises of clanging dishes and muffled drum, people in a crowd talking, and the muffling of Paul's message at my key points. When I am in my office doing interviews, we can take out the noise even when it's externally imposed. However, and unfortunately on the road, which is where we are for this interview, we do not have that remote capability at this time because this interview was a straight Skype recording. To recap Paul's message, association with Clinton crime family, in which he has assisted in bailing out the Clintons for their past illegal deeds. The listener no doubt heard Paul refuse to answer the question on retained as FBI director by President Trump and where this is going. He obviously is aware of something that is actively in the works that involves Comey and the Clintons. Speculate, but my mind immediately went to Pedigate. This is only a guess, but this is the only time that I have interviewed Paul Preston where he did not answer each and every question in a forthright manner. It has to be absolutely huge. Evidence against Comey. Breitbart held several discoveries the new organization made about Comey that should have disqualified him from being the FBI director. Here's a summary of Breitbart's evidence that surfaced versus Comey during the course of their investigation. It says, additionally, Breitbart also came to the following conclusion during the height of the presidential campaign. A review of FBI Director James Comey's professional history and relationship shows that the Obama cabinet leader, for his handling of the investigation of Hillary Clinton, is deeply entrenched in the big money cronyism culture of Washington, D.C. His personal and professional relationships, all undisclosed, as he announced the Bureau would not prosecute Clinton, reinforced by partisan concerns that he may have politicized the criminal probe. These concerns focus on millions of dollars that Comey accepted from a Clinton Foundation defense contractor, Comey's former membership on a Clinton Foundation corporate partners board, and his surprising financial relationship with Comey, who works at the law firm that does the Clinton's Foundation taxes. James Comey's brother, Peter Comey, works for the Clinton Foundation. Peter Comey, through Procom, building. If you think there's anything neutral about any previous investigation into Hillary Clinton's criminal background, think again. All of this information surfaced in September of 2010 and was buried by the mainstream media. Government accomplices to the HSBC's money laundering. Clinton says, please allow me to introduce you to John Cruz. According to this former senior vice president of HSBC Bank, John Cruz, he states that the Clinton Foundation profited from HSBC's terrorist affiliations related to money laundering at the bank. And this, if you want to pull it up and take a look at it. A radio interview was conducted on the Common Sense Show on 31st of July in 2016. I previously documented how FBI Director Comey served on the board of directors at HSBC during the time of the cover-up of the criminal activities. Comey is not the only senior federal government official implanted HSBC either through partner or participation or cover-up. In the interview, I asked Cruz about Comey, and he was aware that Comey had been on the board of directors at HSBC Bank and was responsible for moving money. We now know that moving money meant in part involved moving money to the Clinton Foundation. Surprised that Comey gave Clinton a free pass for her illegal emails? I'd be surprised that Comey heavily redacted emails sent to Congress regarding Clinton's perjury and her testimony to Congress. Comey should be in jail for obstruction of justice. Above all, the interview should answer the question about why Comey would heavily redact FBI documents relating to Clinton's illegal perjury when being interviewed by the FBI. Simply put, if Clinton goes down, so does Comey. There will be another former federal casualty as well as her name. Additionally, there will be another former federal casualty as well, and her name is Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General. And even in the mainstream media that she had a private meeting with Bill Clinton in Phoenix during the height of the so-called email investigation of Hillary, all part of the same organized crime family. Government accomplice to HSBC's money laundering, Loretta Lynch. Loretta Lynch, guilty of obstruction of justice, and surprised that she would not prosecute Clinton for the emails? Cruz went far and wide with his allegation that HSBC Bank laundered money for terrorists and the drug cartels. Told him to go away. Manhattan's district attorney told him that this would cost him his job. He was lucky. The head of the New York Eastern District covered up the crime as well after Cruz provided her with irrefutable proof of his allegations. The Eastern District of New York? Why, it was none other than Loretta Lynch, the current Attorney General. Lynch, to cover her legal behind, actually found HSBC guilty of violations of the banking secrecy laws, but ignored the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the money laundering, and the violation of national laws on terrorism. I asked Cruz why Lynch would charge and not the other one. He told my audience that she could prosecute on far lesser charge to make the more serious charge go away. This fact actually came up in the confirmation of Lynch's nomination to the Attorney General position. Quickly swept under the rug. However, Cruz, to our testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, was so damning that the Senate had to withhold Lynch's nomination vote for 3 weeks in order to let things calm down. The affair, Clinton, Comey, and Lynch. If Clinton is taken down by Congress, Comey and Lynch are headed to prison for obstruction and being an accomplice after the fact. Comey charged with money laundering and trading with the Enemies Act. If Congress truly wants justice in this matter and is not merely grandstanding, special prosecutors need to be appointed by Congress. An investigation of any length is not needed because almost all of the evidence is readily available, as the article strongly suggests. What Congress decided to do, Congress has chosen instead to chase windmills and investigate Trump's association with the Russians in a story that has been debunked. Congress ignores the real Russian connection between our government and Putin when they refuse to investigate Clinton's sale of uranium to the Russians in a story run by the New York Times. The two prosecutors should simply be charged with making a deal with either Comey or Lynch in order to bring. I'm told by one of the sources that this indeed is the strategy, and Comey is being backed into a corner. To be fair, this unnamed source is not connected to Paul Preston. If I were a special prosecutor, in one room they'd bring in Loretta Lynch. In another room they'd bring in James Comey. Special prosecutors interview both suspects at the same time. The offer is simple. The first of the two that offers the testimony and with regard to money laundering, trading with the Enemies Act, funding a presidential campaign with foreign terrorist money through the Clinton Foundation, and multiple counts of perjury, gets the nicer prison cell. Further, Donald Trump needs to relentlessly repeat these events in public. People who get their news from CNN need to be confronted with the truth. The GOP needs to make these events their continuing mantra. Let confirmation bias take its course. We had dinner in Wickenburg, Arizona, and as we were leaving the small town of 6,000 people, adjacent to the highway was a very large billboard that consisted of this message, and it says, "Hillary for Prison 2016. People are ready for the truth. The American people are tired of the politicians and their lies, manipulation, and corruption. Comey is the key to unlocking Pedogate. Pedogate is the key to exposing the ruthless criminal cabal that is the deep state. Exposing the deep state, you might wake up the sleeping masses, and the public finally realizes that their children are not safe under our leadership." This article I have for you is off of BizPack Review, and it says, Gorsuch just I roll Al Franken? Check out favorite responses of the day. Judge Neil Gorsuch just completed his second day of hearings, and thus far, court nominee has displayed more than patience of Job when it comes to dealing with loony Dems hell-bent on nitpicking and grandstanding to appease their leftist base. There have been an ever so quick crack in the normalcy stoic Gorsuch demeanor. After all, in addition to dealing with Dick Durbin and Pat Leahy, the judge also had to endure questioning from Mr. Stuart Smalley himself and Al Franken. You've been tempted to roll your eyes at least once, if not during the whole ridiculous thing. And there's video of it if you want to take a look at it. It says, "Sure looks like it. Please," somebody tweets, "please tell me someone caught that Gorsuch eye roll at Franken in a GIF." Oh, there's a whole bunch of tweets here. If you want to pull them up and read them, it's hysterical. The next one we have here, a BizPack Review, and it says, "Timely new TV ad, the Ginsburg rule destroys Dems about to pound." Concurrent with Monday's opening of Judge Neil Gorsuch confirmation hearings for the position of Supreme Court Justice, the Judicial Crisis Network released a new video promoting approval. And it has Ginsburg in it there if you want to pull it up and look at it. It says, Democrats are attacking Judge Neil Gorsuch because he won't promise to support their political agenda. And the ad begins. Then, in a what's good for the goose is good for the gander moment, the TV pivots, or the ad pivots to the 1993 confirmation hearings of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, during which she refused to answer posed to her by senators in excess of 70 times. Her repeated refusal prompted then Senator Joe Biden to come to her support. And you not only have a right to choose what you will answer and not answer, but in my view, you should not answer a question of what your view will be, he told her during the course of the conference proceedings. Biden played a similar role in a previous Judicial Crisis Network ad released early last year after then President Obama nominated Judge Merrick Garland to the High Court. When the Republican-controlled Senate refused to hold confirmation hearings because it was an election year, Democrats cried foul. Ad that the year was titled "To Confirm or Not to Confirm: Democrats versus Joe Biden." It featured another statement by then Senator Biden arguing against confirming a high court nominee in an election year. Court nomination must be put off until after the election campaign is over, he said in a Senate floor speech. Fair to the nominee and is central to the process. Of course, that was in 1992 when George H.W. Bush, a Republican, wanted to fill a Supreme Court vacancy, and Bush was in a re-election campaign against future President Bill Clinton. Conservatives on social media loved it. There's some tweets. If you want to pull it up and read all that. The next one and final one in this episode is off of BizPack Review, and it says, text from senator's wife causes Gorsuch to erupt with laughter hearings. After 11 hours of confirmation hearings, everyone needed a good laugh. Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse for Judge Neil Gorsuch and everyone present during the Supreme Court before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Gorsuch, who has been nominated by President Donald Trump to fill the seat of Anton Scalia, had just been grilled by Senator Al Franken when Sasse stepped up. My wife also sent me a text a little bit ago and said, and I'm sure she didn't expect me to read it, but Gorsuch able to go so many hours at a time without peeing? Sasse said as he read the text message from his phone. The room erupted into laughter. I won't make you answer, Sasse said, but the SCOTUS bladder is something the whole country stands in awe of. There's your laugh for the day. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to enjoy the news. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. That way you'll stay informed. I'll see you in the next episode.